Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily and today I'm going to be telling you my favorites of 2020. I have 11 technically, but one of them's like an honorable mention because it's not a book, it's more of poems. So I decided to kind of just squeeze that in here. But anyway, I'm not sure how much detail I'm going to go into. I can't remember like every single thing from these books. My memory is not the best. I think I've put that out there before. I sometimes have trouble remembering everything, but I do know that I really loved these books. So we're gonna get right into it, and I want to jump off with the honorable mention, and that is Poems for the End of the World by Katie Wismer. This is the second one I've read from her, poetry-wise, and I love her poems. They are done so well, and they definitely make me feel things that, you know, poems tend to do. So I just wanted to mention that here because I definitely think that if you like poetry, or even if you don't read it a lot, try her out. Okay, so moving on to the 10 books. So 10 through 4, because we're going to go from the bottom up, they don't really have like meanings for each place. They could all be interchangeable, but when I get to the top 3, they're definitely in a place because they're my top 3 favorites of the year. So when we get there, I'll let you guys know. But starting off with number 10, we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I read this, I think, in January, and it is just so soft and heartwarming, and I just loved it. All the characters, it was just so unique, and I loved reading about the relationships that were made between all these characters. And it was a nice look into cozy fantasy, so that one is definitely on this list. Number 9, I have Crave by Tracy Wolff. I read this February maybe, I can't remember, but this one brought me so much nostalgia for like the Twilight series and even the Vampire Academy series. So we're following a girl and she loses her family and she has to move with her uncle who runs this kind of like academy, I guess, and it is not all as it seems, and it's just filled with supernatural stuff and angst, and I just loved it. Like, it just gave me all those nostalgia feels, and I did not continue on, but I was waiting for all the books to come out so I could just binge them. So stay tuned for next year because that should be happening. Coming in at number 8, I have A Bond of Thread. Now, I did do a dual book review between this and one of my top 3, not to give spoilers away, so I will try to remember to leave that link down below so you can watch it and hear my thoughts more on those. But I absolutely love this. This was so unique and different, and it got me back into like some fantasy indie published books and self-published books, and I was just so happy to read this. I was able to get an arc of the second one just recently, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first arc ever, and so it just has a special place in my heart. The series is so good, and I just can't wait to see where these characters go, and you should definitely check it out if you're into fairies and politicalness and magic and different worlds. I just loved it. So coming in at number 7, I have a physical book for this one, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I read Grady Hendrix last year. I read Horror Store and the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Absolutely loved both of those. And I read this one this year, and this one has some of the best friendship relationships I've ever seen, and I just loved it. It was creepy. There were creepy parts, there were disturbing parts, but I feel like the lengths you will go for your friends was so very much represented in here, and I just love that aspect of it. The cover is also stunning. Like, I think Grady Hendrix is one of my new favorite authors of all time, so definitely going to be digging more into some of his backlist, and he has a new book coming out, I think, in January, so I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. So coming in 6th place, I have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulik. We're following this girl, and she's kind of being a nanny or babysitter for this little boy, and he starts drawing these strange pictures, and let me see if I can find a really good one. So he draws some pretty strange pictures, and this book is just filled with all these strange pictures. I love this. This was so good. The pictures definitely amplified my enjoyment of this. The story was really good. The ending was very shocking. I didn't see some parts coming. I just really enjoyed this. So this one is definitely one of my favorites for the year. So next is number 5, and in this place we have Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I read The Martian and really enjoyed it by him, so I was excited to pick this one up. I've heard nothing but good things, and everyone was right. This book is so good. I did not see the alien thing, like what the alien looks like, coming. Like, that was a little bit of a shock, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but like, I just love this. This was so well done, as always, and the scientificness of it, while I didn't understand everything, it still made me feel like I did in a way. So there's that. But I really enjoyed this. This was so good. If you're going to check out any book by this author, let it be this one. Okay, we're getting close to the top. So in spot number 4, I have Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I read this, or finished it at least, at the beginning of the year. I did not end up like continue on because these books are just so long and I have to be in the mood for these. But every time I read one of her books, I love it. 5 stars, you know. And this one was no exception. It was a little hard because I loved reading about Fitz. And so jumping into some new characters for a new series was really hard. And I think that's why I've kind of put it off a little bit, because I just want to get back to Fitz. But I have to read this series first because there's like a reading order and I don't want to get spoiled for anything that happens in these books in the next book. So I don't know if I'm going to have to reread this or if I can watch some videos recapping on this and then move on to the second one. I might try to do that. I remember a good bit of this one, so maybe it shouldn't be too hard, but this one is on this list. I can't not have a list without Robin Hobb on it, especially if I've read one or a few that year. So this is definitely higher up on this list because Robin Hobb is a queen and she writes the best characters and I just love it. Okay, so we've made it to the top 3. These ones matter. These are my top 3 favorite of the entire year. And we're just going to kick it off with number 3, and that is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. I read this because I was trying to read some of Riley Marie's favorite books, which you never saw a vlog for because I just couldn't be bothered and I didn't feel like I was doing a good job. So anyway, but I got a favorite book out of this. I love this. This is pirates. You've got 2 guys trying to deal with the main girl, and I don't want to go too much into it because it's so good, but whew, man, this book was steamy. This one was also hard at times. It has some rougher topics, so make sure if you're going to pick this one up, you look into some of the trigger warnings. But oh my gosh, if you're going to pick up any romance this coming next year, please pick this one up because it is so good. So good. I just loved it. I loved it. So good. Okay, now into place number 2. This one is also what I was talking about earlier. I did a dual book review with this one and one of the other ones on my list, and that book is The Goddess of Nothing at All by Kat Rector. Okay, this is a very long book. It's like 600 something pages, but I flew through it. I also tried a chapter of this in a vlog that maybe I'll try and put down below because it got 2nd place, but then I ended up picking it up instead, so I don't know. Anyway, but this one, it follows Norse mythology. We're following Loki and one of his wives, Sigyn, and we're mainly following her and like her life with Loki and everything, and I just, oh god, I love this. It has a lot of LGBT plus rep in it, and it has tons of mythology, and the way that the author weaved all the like myths and stories throughout it to make it make a lot of sense, I loved. It does jump over time, but it never felt off. It never felt like it ruined the story with the amount of time jumps we had. And I just, oh man, I was so frustrated and I felt so sad. And I think, you know, you're meant to feel this way about these characters, and I just couldn't get enough. The 2nd book has come out. It's called Epilogues for Lost Gods, and it's essentially an epilogue to what happened at the end of this, and the author made an entire book for what happened after these events, and I am just so excited to read it. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I think I'm just like intimidated, and I just want it to be so good and be as good as the 1st book. So yes, this is number 2, one of my favorites of the year, and I love this. I read this because of the SPFBO, and I had already owned this book prior to seeing it on the list for that, but it was, I think it was the first or second book I picked up in the SPFBO books I started reading, but oh man, it was so good, and I'm so happy to have finally gotten to this book. Highly recommend. And finally, the last book that is at number 1 on this list, which should come as no surprise, and that is Crescent City House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, I took forever to read this book, but it was worth the wait. I have the second book. Have I read it yet? No. Do I want to? Absolutely yes, but I'm terrified to because I've heard some things about the ending and I'm just like a little scared. So this one was so good. I'm not going to go into what it's about because y'all know what it's about. But let's just say this one hit you in the feels if you read it. And Sarah J. Maas can do no wrong. I love all her books. This one is no exception. And she is forever my favorite author of all time. And this book deserved to be at number 1. It was really hard between this one and the second one, but like this one deserved it. I loved this. So good. Even though it's like a million pages long, almost 800 pages long, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Adored this. I can't say anything else about this one because I just read it if you haven't read it. And if you haven't read it, like, what are you doing with your life? Okay, so we got through all 10/11 of my favorite books for 2022, and I know that a lot of people do like their worst books of 2022, and I don't even like watching those videos because I feel like we should celebrate the good books and not put down the authors and like what books are the worst, because then people that might actually really love those books are not going to pick them up because they were someone else's worst book of the year. So while some people have some valid reasons for it, I don't want to do that. So apologize if you were expecting to see that from me. I did make a list. I had 7 books on it, but I'm not going to go and talk about them like that. So I just want to spread happiness and joy, and these are the books that made me the most happiest this year. And I hope that if you haven't heard of some of these, that you are interested and you pick them up. Yeah, so other than that, I hope you like this video. Like it down below if you did. Comment letting me know if any of these have caught your eye and if you've read any of these. And subscribe if you want to. I'd greatly appreciate it. And until my next video, I will see you guys again soon. Bye!